Alright, and here we are, the first episode of Are You Smarter Than a Yargle? The quiz shows that asks the ultimate question: is someone smarter than a 9.3 vanilla? So, today I am sitting here with my good friend Sam, who's going to be our first contestant for the show. Feel free to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, pleasure to participate in this fun little adventure of knowledge and can I fly over a 9.3, I suppose. Vanilla, people say that it's a bad thing, but ultimately I think it just means that you have so much room in your text box for so much potential,
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I just now realized, like Price is Right, Wheel of Fortune, such memorable little jingles and theme songs.
Yeah.
I could not tell you what audio to associate with the show Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader,
I just associate the timbre of Jeff Foxworthy's voice.
Actually, no, hold on. I think I am kind of remembering now that it was just a bunch of kids going, "Are you smarter than a fifth grader?"
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah.
I forgot about it. It's been so long. I haven't seen that show since I was I think I was a fifth grader.
Yeah, I don't believe that it's still on.
But I think that was like a reboot with
honestly.
John Cena randomly. I don't know if it's still around.
Sure, of course it was John Cena.
Because why not?
All right, let's do this.
Alright, so the goal of this is to see if you're smarter than Yargle, which means, as we already said before, Yargle's a 9.3, so there's 12 questions, and Sam is going to need to get 9 questions out of the 12, and so there's going to be 3 different categories, so it's kind of a mix of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader. So there's 3 categories: Vorthos, which is kind of like the lore stuff, card trivia, which is kind of just like broad, like questions about the cards themselves, and then the last question is card art, where you'll see an art of a card and you have to guess what the art is for. So you can jump around. There's no difficulty chose. Some are easier than others, some are harder than others. It's completely random. No lifeline, so you're walking on your own boat. So let's go ahead and kick things off. Where would you like to go?
I guess I will start things off with card trivia. That seems general, hard to mess up.
Alright, so we'll start with the card trivia. So let's go over to there. So our first question is, which of these cards is not legal in the format Penny Dreadful? Is it Sylvan Library, Tooth and Nail, Gataxian Probe, or Mystic Remora?
So I do know that Penny Dreadful is the Magic Online format where you can't do every card has to be 1 penny on Magic Online, where everything is notoriously cheap.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do know that a surprising amount of people play Commander on Magic Online.
Yeah.
So I think that would rule out Sylvan Library.
Okay. It did also get the recent reprint and remastered.
Yeah. Same with Tooth and Nail. But then, Tooth and Nail seems too playable in a nice sense.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning kind of on Gataxian Probe. It was an uncommon, so even for mid-go, it had a lot of supply. It's banned in some formats where Modern gets played. So yeah, I'm feeling Gataxian Probe's the right call here.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, it is.
Alright, so that is actually incorrect. It was Mystic Remora.
Really?
So, Gataxian Probe, fun fact, is actually one of the only formats, or Penny Dreadful rather, is one of the only formats it's legal, along with Vintage, where it's restricted in Commander. One of the only formats where Gataxian Probe is actually a legal card in the format.
Yeah, that does make sense.
And then
can't use it anywhere else.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much only there. And then I don't know if Vintage plays it. Tooth and Nail, Sylvan Library is a Commander card. That's not going to see Constructor play. Mystic Remora, despite being pretty much exclusively a Commander card, it's still fairly limited in its printings. And again, like you mentioned, some people do play Commander on there, and that's a blue staple of the deck.
Yeah. Well, not starting this off right. I see the frog's mouth opening, hungering for me.
It is hungry. You don't want to get eaten by it. So, would you like to stay in card trivia, or want to swap over to Vorthos, some card out? What are we thinking?
I gotta redeem myself. Let's stick with card trivia.
Alright, sticking with the card trivia. So we'll go to the next question, which is, the Delve mechanic first appeared officially in this faction? Is it the Golgari Swarm, the Sultai Brood, Grixis, or the Obscura?
Well, Delve first showed up in one of the, the time spiral future site, one of those shenanigans sets.
That is true.
And yes, I believe the first time it showed up was on Tarkir and as the Sultai mechanic. So I will go with the Sultai Brood. Final answer.
The Sultai Brood. Is it the Sultai Brood of Tarkir? That is correct. It is Sultai. It did originally appear in Time Spiral, as you mentioned, though it eventually became official in Khans of Tarkir, where it was part of the Sultai's main mechanic, and one of probably the most broken mechanics ever printed.
Yeah, I mean, let's just make cards cheap. I mean, it's so hard to put things in your graveyard, in the same way drawing cards and playing lands is, really hard. So much you have to do with your hands. It's a lot of physical exertion.
It takes a lot of effort to play your deck. It's
a lot out of you.
So sticking with card trivia, so on to the next question. The following keywords have only appeared on one card except for Frenzy, Fortify, Aura Swap, or Gravestorm.
Ooh, interesting. Well, Gravestorm only on one card, that's for sure.
Alright.
Fortify, I believe, is the same thing. It's like an artifact land from Future Sight. Same with Aura Swap. No, wait. Yeah, okay. Aura Swap is also a Future Sight. Frenzy, though, I think. See, I can't decide if I'm mixing up Frenzy.
Okay, so I will give you a hint. All of these are from Future Sight.
Oh, so it's just a matter of did one show up after Future Sight or on more than one card in Future Sight?
Exactly, and as an added bonus, if you wanted to know this, I had a video I talked about obscure keywords, and all of these were on here.
Nice plug. Okay, but see, the thing that kind of makes me want to rule out Aura Swap is that I feel like 2 or more cards with Aura Swap is when people might actually start considering making a deck around it. Because I know there's that Eldrazi conscription aura that makes, makes Zur the Enchanter super good. I feel like someone would have tried that before.
Makes sense.
So, kind of with that in mind, ruling out Aura Swap, the only thing that really leaves me undecided on is going to be Frenzy, which sounds generic enough that I feel like 1 or 2 or more cards could have wound up with that. Or maybe it showed up after the fact and I just have forgotten that fact. Nice. So I am going to go with Frenzy.
Frenzy is correct. Frenzy only appeared in Future Sight in an official set, but it reappeared in an unset on a random card.
Really?
So the play team just really hates it, but Mark Rosewater really likes it. So he pretty much said he always gets denied when he tries to put it in a main set, so he just put it in an unset one day.
That is really funny.
And then Fortify was basically equipment but for land, and then Aura Swap switches auras, and then Gravestorm just storm but for creatures going to the graveyard.
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, I think let's mix it up. I want to move to the Vorthos category.
Moving to the lore, so let's go
lore
ahead.
Questions. I feel pretty good about that.
We all love some lore, so let's begin with which Planeswalker was not a part of the 9 Titans?
Oh no, that's old lore.
Let's see if you can get it. We got Lord Windgrace, Teferi Akosa, Freyalise, and Urza. So 9 Titans, they did appear recently on a card from Brothers War, so they're semi-recent.
Yeah, okay. So Lord Windgrace definitely was. That's one of the things he's most known for.
Yep, okay.
Freyalise, known for a lot of other things.
It's true.
But I'm pretty sure being one of the Titans was there as well. Urza, I mean, legally speaking, I feel like if you make a team of 9 Planeswalkers that you put in Uber mech suits, you put your name on that as well. So I feel like he's part of that circle, so to say. Fairy, though. This, I'm not 100% confident about this, but if I recall correctly, when Urza had the whole Nine Titans plan, that was around the time when Teferi was on his I need to protect my homeland and nothing else really matters sort of phase, which, ended poorly for him. But I really think he would have been the one to blow off that invite if Urza ever sent it. I also think I don't remember Urza and Teferi being on great terms.
To be fair, was anyone on good terms with Urza?
Fair. Very fair. So I am going to go with Teferi on this one.
Alright, locking in Teferi?
Yes.
Teferi is the correct answer. It didn't light up, but it's the correct answer. You just have to trust me. I think I set this up wrong.
I will take your word for it.
So, Windgrace was it. Urza was the one who assembled the Titans. The saga, Urza assembles the Titans. His brother's war card. He was the main guy who did everything. And then brought them all to Phyrexia and said, you know what, fuck it, these guys are kind of cool, let's keep them around. Freyalise was there as well.
I remember there's one lore detail bit from that. I don't remember who it was. All I remember is that one of the 9 Titans ended up being a Phyrexian double agent, and he was like, "Yahaha, Urza, you could not have foreseen my treachery." And Urza was like, "Hey, that's cute. I actually put a bomb in every mech suit just in case one of my buddies decided to, try and jump ship. So, like, bye." Yeah. I don't remember who it was, though.
I believe it was like, I don't remember his name.
One of those no-name dudes.
He was on a Commander Legends, Commander. He was one of the Commander playing block, like Teferi Shah or something like that.
Yeah.
So Teferi was actually pretty much overloaded time to get a part of his home of Dominaria out of there. So when Urza did assemble the Titans, he wasn't even on Dominaria anymore. He had already moved on to a different part, and it comes back later, of course. I forget if he was a Planeswalker.
Dipped.
Yeah,
Dang, dude.
He got outie pretty early on in the Phyrexian War.
Left Urza on red. That's tragic. All right, let's keep this going.
Okay, so you got 3 right, 1 wrong out of our 4 questions. Where are we going? You sticking with Orthos?
That's like on rate so far, vanilla creature wise. If I'm 2 mana in this circumstance.
Yeah, you're in a good spot right now. So where are we going? We sticking with Orthos? Going back to card trivia?
Yeah. Let's keep Orthos going.
All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so we have who of the Lorwyn 5 has never appeared on their home plane on a card? We have Jace Beleren, Garruk Wildspeaker, Liliana Vess, and a Johnny Goldmane.
Okay, well, can definitely rule out Liliana.
Yeah, that's
been on Dominaria all the time,
including a couple sets ago.
Yeah, and Johnny has also been depicted on Lorwyn as well. That leaves those 2, and so Jace, his home plane is Vryn, with the cool magic rings that we're never gonna find anything about, but they look very cool. See, the thing is, I know. So when Jace appears on Vryn, on Jace Vryn's prodigy, but that's when he's technically not a planeswalker. He's just a kid that gets bullied. So, I think other than that, he's never been depicted on Vryn. Because I think for a long time, he didn't really know where Vryn was, or that his home was Vryn. I think he remembered that during his beach vacation.
Yes, I believe that was when he remembered where he
Garruk,
was.
on the other hand, I have no idea where Garruk is from. And that kind of makes me think nobody knows where Garruk is from? Which means, yeah, I kind of want to go with Garruk in the sense that he hasn't appeared on his home plane because we don't know what his home plane is.
Alright, so we're locking in Garruk?
Yeah, I'm locking in Garruk or Garruk?
I think it's Garruk, I want to say. I could be wrong. But what is not wrong is your answer, because it is correct. Garruk has never appeared on his plane because we don't know what his plane is. You are correct in that.
Awesome.
So yeah, as again, Jace never appeared as a planeswalker, but he did have his card from Magic Origins, which is where he was on Vryn. Liliana, of course, Dominaria. Johnny's been on Alara plenty of times. Garuk's pretty much only been on M20 core sets, basically, and like the occasional random appearance on like Eldraine or something.
Yeah. I wonder what he's up to nowadays.
An excellent question. Probably doing nothing like he usually does.
I do think it would be so funny if when we do the return to Eldraine set, like Garrick's still there. You know, he got the curse removed from him at the end of the first Eldraine story.
Yeah.
And I just don't think he's in any rush to go back to planeswalking, you know? This is probably just like a really nice vacation to him. And, you know, when we next check in with him, you know, someone's gonna be like, Garrick, where have you been? There's been this huge Phyrexian invasion. And he's just like, I've been playing with my dogs, you know?
He's just having a good time with his wolves.
Yeah. All right. Let's do another Vorthos.
Sticking with the Vorthos. On to the next one. Oh, now it popped up. Okay. Which of these characters has not been a part of the Weatherlight crew? We have Gideon Jura, Miri, Johnny Goldmane, and Joda.
Huh. Interesting. Well, Miri definitely was.
Yeah.
I think her first card is literally like Miri Weatherlight Crew or something to that effect. Joda was part of the new Weatherlight team for however short amount of time they were around. That leaves the other two. And they're both kind of in a space where I remember them showing up in the Dominaria story.
Okay.
Specifically, at one point, you know, the POV characters were doing, you know, what they were up to in Dominaria, like trying to kill Belzenlok.
Yeah.
And I think a Johnny, yeah. I think Gideon was part of the crew, and a Johnny shows up at one point and is like, "Hey, Gideon, buddy, did you go to did you go to Amonkhet after I specifically told you not to?" And Gideon was like, "Hey, no comment. I'm kind of busy right now." And Johnny was like, "Wow, very cool. But you're alive, and that's really great." So, and I think that was when Johnny was off screen working on whatever he was up to at the time. So I think Gideon was technically part of the crew as well, which means that Johnny wasn't. So I'm going to lock in a Johnny as my answer there.
We're locking in a Johnny. A Johnny was not part of it. It was actually Joda.
What?
So Miri, of course, was kind of the free answer. She was part of the original. That was pretty much her arc was on the Weatherlight. Gideon and a Johnny, both during the set's the story of Dominaria, temporarily joined the Weatherlight while they searched for Belzenlok and everything. Joda, despite being on Dominaria for a while, though he helped with the Weatherlight crew, he never actually was a part of it at any point.
He was often busy doing mage stuff. Oh, did a Johnny stick with them after meeting up with them? That's probably what it was.
I believe so. After he rejoined with them, he stuck around with them throughout the Dominaria plotline.
To help out with fighting Belzenlok, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Joda, which I was actually kind of surprised when I learned that. I just kind of always assumed he was.
He kind of like, he jumped very quickly from like being too enigmatic to be on the Weatherlight crew, to kind of in the plot of Dominaria United. He was kind of like above the crew at that point, you know? Yeah. He was like, oh my god, everyone wants me to be in charge.
You got spells to learn.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think we are going to jump out of Vorthos having made this L. I want to head over to the third category, which was card art, if I recall.
You are correct. We are heading into the card art. So let's go ahead, jump over. Well, what is this card art? We have either Manakite.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I don't even need to like You can read them out by all means, but I know what this card is because it is a card in the cube that my buddy and I built, and it is one of the funniest cards ever.
I guess for the audience, in case they're just listening to this for whatever reason, the options are Mana Tithe, Balance, Balance of Power, and Counterbalance, but that's you know what it is. I couldn't fool you because you played with it.
It is the card Mana Tithe, which is 1 white for an instant. Counter target spell unless opponent pays 1 mana.
He even knows the text of it.
No one expects the white counter spell, and they sure as heck don't expect it on turn 1.
I have fallen victim to this a few times just on Arena, on a Stoic. I just play because no one plays Mana Tithe because there's so many other counter spells, and sometimes it hits you when you least expect it.
No one plays Mana Tithe until someone ends your night with Mana Tithe.
Just ruins your whole day.
All right, let's keep this one going.
So you're doing pretty solid. We've gone through 7. You've gotten 5 right and 2 wrong. Looking pretty good. So yeah, it is the Mana Tithe.
You're on track.
Okay, so this it is Thriving Moor that I spelled incorrectly on accident. Thriving Grove, Thriving Bluff, a Thriving Isle.
Oh, this one is mean because the whole point of that cycle of thriving lands was that they could go in the jumpstart packs.
Yep.
And that made it so that they could play with any other pack because you could add a second color to them when they entered the battlefield.
Yep, pop a staple.
I mean, I can say pretty confidently that this isn't an isle, nor would I call it a grove.
There was kind of the forest thing in front of it.
Yeah, that is true. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what a moor is, definitionally speaking.
I'll be honest, I'm not too sure either. So, a moor is, according to Google, a tract of uncultivated upland.
Interesting.
How helpful that is, I'm not too sure.
That doesn't look... It did not look very cultivated. But I think I'm going to stick with bluff.
Going with a bluff. Are we locking that in?
Yes.
We're locking in the bluff, which is correct. It is the Thriving Bluff.
Yeah.
They all kind of had...
I'll be honest. I know this specifically because of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. One of the maps, or one of the places where you eventually set up your home base is called Sharpedo Bluff, and it is a big shark head sticking out of a mountain. And this kind of gave me a bit of that vibe. I still think it's more of a mesa than anything. But glad I eked that out there.
So you're you're at 8 out of the 12 right now.
I am on my way, and that's good to know. I say we keep it going with card art.
Okay, going to the next card art, which we have this. So we have, is this card Azorius Chancery, Azorius Guildgate, Suppression Field, or Azorius Cluestone?
I mean, yeah. Wow, Azorius and Marble Architecture. Name a more iconic duo. Okay, well, I mean, it's not a Cluestone, because a Cluestone was very literally a stick. It's also not really... It's not Suppression Field, because I'm pretty sure Suppression Field only ever had the one art where it's kind of like... It's got weird, like, glittery star light stuff going on. That just means, is it a Guildgate or is it a Chancery? And...
Could be either way. It's a big point flip.
I think a Chancery is like... It's a religious thing? I couldn't tell you exactly what it means. But the way those people in the front there are walking definitely gives me religious vibes. I know the Azorius isn't technically speaking a church or religion, but I feel like that's kind of the image they're trying to evoke here.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with Chancery on that.
Going with Chancery, locking it in?
Yep.
It was the Guildgate. You
lost
the coin flip. So,
heck.
Yeah, the
okay.
entrance to it. The Chancery is pretty much the art for that, just the inside of this. So that's how that is.
Oh, okay.
So you are at 6 right and 3 wrong currently.
So that kind of doesn't that mean I have to be perfect from here on out?
Yes. So you got 3 more questions to get right. Otherwise, you are officially not smarter than a Yargle.
I think I can pull this off.
Right.
But I don't think I've been doing very well in the card art. Definitely not as good as I was hoping.
The harder ones.
So I think I'd actually like to take it back where it all began. Let's jump back to card text.
Alright, back to the trivia section. We got a Storm scale question. So, on the Storm scale, which of these abilities is not on a 10, which pretty much means like they don't want to ever do it again? We have Dredge, Intimidate, Chroma, and Annihilator.
Okay, so Chroma we can rule out right away because Chroma was like the prototype of devotion.
Okay.
If I recall correctly. Annihilator, I think we can also rule out because I think they've just straight up said that it's like it's impossible to balance and it is impossible to be fun, you know?
Yeah.
Like nobody is happy when Annihilator happens.
I am.
So that kind of leaves the 2 remaining mechanics. The problem here is that I don't really know what Intimidate is.
Intimidate is the one where it can't be blocked except by a black creature or an artifact creature, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. So Intimidate, yeah, they've basically said that, like, you know, there's no reason to use this anymore because it's just I think they renamed the mechanic and then had it like apply to all color, like the color that the creature is. Something like that. And the thing is, Dredge is like, it's a problem every time they do it, but it's also really popular, you know?
It's a pretty popular. It's very iconic for like modern.
Yeah,
legacy.
it's iconic. People like it. Everyone feels like one day it's not going to be a problem, you know? So I could really see Dredge just being like an 8 or a 9, you know?
Okay.
Like, even if they don't plan on it, I feel like they want to at least kind of leave the door open of like, you know, maybe in the right circumstances, we could do Dredge again. But the other 3, for their own reasons, I think are very firmly in like, this will never happen again.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to go with Dredge.
Alright, locking your game cell life on Dredge.
Not confident in it, but I think it's okay.
It was actually Annihilator. So Annihilator's kind of bounced between 9 and 10 a lot. It's currently at 9. Dredge is at a 10. Chroma is at a 10 because it's just devotion now. Intimidate, it's at a 10 just because I think it's just too confusing and it's just a weird effect, so they just don't want to do it again. Dredge, pretty much, it breaks something every time they release it. Annihilator, they can put it on. Again, it's been 9 to 10. The reasons are why it's so high, but they're like maybe because it is like Eldrazi's like iconic like ability.
Yeah, you're right. I guess it can kind of, the same arguments I had to Dredge could sort of apply to Annihilator as well. You know?
Yeah.
Because and honestly, you know, maybe if they just sprinkled Annihilator 1 on some things here and there, that would be less of an issue. It's only slightly annihilating things. But, you know. Speaking of annihilated, I guess this means I'm going in Yargle's belly, huh?
We've got past question 9. You've got 4 wrong, which is more than what we're allowing. So you have officially been bested by the Yargle.
No. Oh, I worked hard on that death scream.
It was very good. I thank you for going the dedication.
Yeah, it hurts on the throat though.
I did write all these questions. Do we want to see if you can at least get the last half of them right? The last couple?
Honestly, yeah, let's keep it going, you know? Even though I may be dead, there's a chance I may one day be reanimated.
You're not smarter than a Yargle, but you might be smarter than a Multani and a Yargle.
Ooh, very true, very true.
I don't even remember.
All right, what's the next question on this category?
Right, so this one, I think there was only one left, which was, which of the following cards is not a counter spell? Counter Lass, Counter Squall, Counter Intelligence, and Flask Counter. I forgot to put the EO on that because I'm dumb.
Okay. That being said, so Counter Lash, I think that's one of the weird is it counter spells. Counter Squall, I know, is the blue-black counter spell where the person who cast it loses life. Flash Counter, I don't know for certain, but it definitely sounds like an old card, you know? Whereas Counterintelligence, I could see that being some silly, like, I don't know, Demir cipher mechanic nonsense, you know? So I'm going to go with Counterintelligence, specifically because I think if it was a counterspell, that's too cute for wizards, you know? They're not cool enough to make a counterspell called Counterintelligence.
Alright, so you are correct. It is not the counterspell. It's actually a bounce from one to two creatures. Flash Counter counters an instant. Counter Stroke counters a non-creature spell. Counter Last, I don't fully remember. I think it counters. I think it is one of the weird is it counter spells.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them.
There is enormous sorts of them. These are pretty much all the counters I had that had the word counter in the name.
Yeah.
Because I saw counter intelligence, I'm like, I thought like, hey, maybe that could trick someone. Didn't trick you though. Alright, so that is it for the card trivia. We have the last of the Vorthos, and then we have the last of the card out. I think there's two left in each category.
Cool. Let's go back to the Vorthos.
Alright, there are two more of these. We have, which of these demons did Liliana Vess have a contract with? Razaketh, Rakdos, Vilis, or Varagoth?
I believe quite confidently that it's Razaketh, who, if I recall correctly, was the one that appeared on Amonkhet. Because I know there's Grizzlebrand, Bells and Lock, Razaketh, and then the fourth one, which was a really just terrible, like, intro deck card. But I don't remember the name of that one. But I'm pretty sure Razaketh's the one to go with here.
Right, so it is Razaketh. Rakdos, he's sleeping 90% of the time. Vilis is just a random demon from Akorsa, and Varagoth is from Kaldheim, which is beyond the death, or the contract rather. Razaketh is the one from Amonkhet, and you read the other demons. I forget the fourth one because he just pretty much appeared before they even made card stories.
Oh, yeah. I remembered, not the name, I remembered that his, like, epitaph was Soul Hoarder. His name was Kothofed.
Yes, that's it.
Which is silly. But he's also bad. So, and now he's dead. All right. Final Vorthos question.
Right. The last of the Vorthos, we have, which is not a Sword of Alara. We have Esper, Jund, Temur, and Grixis.
Temur was part of Tarkir, so it's Temur. I think I can say that with utmost confidence.
Yeah, and you were correct in that. You seem like a big on the Tarkir stuff. So
yeah, Tarkir was I would say it was like kind of definitely when I was playing like standard the most, standard and draft the most. My buddies and I, we did a lot of Tarkir stuff.
Back to the last two card out questions. We have this lovely Minotaur guy, and the card out can be either Reckless Charge, Furious Assault, Fling, or Pit Fight.
Ooh. Not a pit fight. Definitely not a pit fight. Yeah. And it definitely seems like a Reckless Charge and or a Furious Assault. That said, that dude in the bottom right, like I don't, what, maybe it's just because I see the word fling and that's leading me to feel this way, but it really does look like he just picked up his Minotaur bestie and hurled him 20 feet. So I'm going to go with fling.
Alright, locking in Fling. And that is the correct answer. It's probably the least fling-looking fling, because the guy looks so tiny and Minotaur is so enormous. Nor does it really look like he's getting launched.
He's just kind of, he's going, you know? I feel like if you pick up your Minotaur buddy by the horns, you know, and just shunt him forward with all of your might, even if that doesn't really get him, like, flying that far, I feel like that definitely gets the Minotaur rushing forward, ready to strike with that shovel of his, because that really looks like a shovel that he's holding.
It really does.
So you fling him forward, in a sense.
We got fling, and then we got our last card up question. We got this little skeleton thing. We got, is this called Verdant Command, Profane Command, Silumagar's Command, I probably said that dragon's name wrong, or is it Gix's Command?
Well, it's definitely not Gix's Command, because that's just too new. And I know this is one of the old commands.
Okay.
It's also not Verdant Command, because Verdant suggests green, and although there are mushrooms, this is very not green. Silumgar's Command has Silumgar and some Silumgar people on it, because that's kind of the cycle that they followed with those.
Okay.
So, by process of elimination and the fact that there's a lot of bad vibes involved, I feel it's Profane Command for sure.
And Profane Command is the correct answer. So you got the last tail end of the card out right.
Yeah, I was one off at the end of the day, wasn't I?
If you didn't get that one wrong in the, I think it was the Vorthos or the card chip.
Yeah,
then you would have got
it. Was the mechanics one.
Yeah,
I was so close to being besting the Yargle.
It's very close to being smaller than a Yargle. Unfortunately, we did not get there. So you will have to stare into the metaphorical camera and say, "My name is Sam, and I am not smarter than a Yargle."
My name is Sam, and I am not smarter than a Yargle.
I always like that they made him say that at the end of the show, just to rub salt in the wound.
Yeah, just rub the salt in the wound, you know? Alrighty, well, thank you so much. This was a good time. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on. This was very fun. And then for all you watching at home, if you enjoyed this, make sure to do that whole like, comment, subscribe shenanigans, because that does help. We'll be doing
Boost
more
the algorithm.
Exactly. I'll be doing a few more of these. I know. Maybe I'll try to get other people on, other content creators on. We'll see what happens. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, everyone.
Take care.